This channel supports Extra Life in its efforts to raise money for the Children's Miracle Network. For more information about how to donate and join in their efforts, go to the link displayed here. Extra Life. Play games, heal kids. What up, everybody? This your boy Black Magus back with some more wrestling talk for you guys, and we're gonna discuss the trend of people saying how certain wrestlers deserve or need to be in the WWE. Now, for the most part, if you're a wrestling fan, you kind of are a fan of WWE. There are few people that I could think of that I know that like wrestling and don't care to even pay attention to WWE. Now, there are people who are fans of WWE and don't watch that I know, which I can understand because WWE's on TV products can be horrendous at times. Of late, it's funny because since things have been going so crazy lately, I have not taken the opportunity to watch this week's Raw, and I don't feel really, I guess, that compelled because I mostly watch it for the podcast. I'll be honest right now, because I love doing the podcast and I love talking about wrestling, but it's kind of a chore to watch a Monday Night Raw because WWE just does so many gimmicky things, whereas if you're able to find some of the lesser wrestling divisions, you'll get a better show. At least you'll get wrestling. That's one thing that I like about the other brands, is that it's more focused on wrestling. They may not be, the best at necessarily telling a story on the mic, but actually no, I take that back. They're even better on the mic than WWE. I can't even sit here and say that because a lot of the lower wrestling companies, they're all about wrestling, not sports entertaining. So they promote things in a traditional wrestling manner. So your promos are in the traditional wrestling manner, which is why a lot of us come to appreciate wrestling, because of the old school qualities of wrestling. Now, of course, there's a lot of people who have probably grown up in this latest generation who all they know is the WWE style that we currently have. So therefore, that's what they like. And that's part of the problem that I have with people always saying how certain people deserve or need to be in WWE. And it's not that I don't think that these people deserve it. It's not that I don't want to see these people necessarily. As a fan of wrestling, when you see people who are good at it, you want to see them perform against some of the best. And there's some really good wrestlers in WWE that I would like to see matchups happen with some of the guys from the lower ranks on a bigger stage. Like Daniel Bryan, he was in ROH, so it would be really, really cool, to see that Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Steen, or now Kevin Owens, matchup. Now that Kevin Owens is in NXT, we get to see stuff like that. We get to see El Generico come up eventually and wrestle someone like a Tyler Black, aka Seth Rollins, like they used to do back in the independent circuit. We have a chance to see some of these extremely great matches that were done in lower ranked wrestling companies and independent circuits. We do have that chance. But the problem is, it's not going to be as good as it was back then, because WWE is just really not that much about the art of wrestling anymore. Okay, let's see if I can break this down. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of rumbling about the Briscoe brothers coming from ROH and going to WWE, which, hey, that's a good career move for them because WWE pays more than anybody. You get put on a bigger spotlight, and the potential of your earning is out there. And it's also a mark. I mean, say what you will about what WWE is now, it's still a professional mark for a lot of wrestlers to say, hey, I've made it to WWE. I've been on pay-per-views like SummerSlam, like WrestleMania is still, like, to say that you had a match on WrestleMania is still a like really big thing, you know, because it's supposed to, it's the biggest stage in wrestling today. But the problem is, and the reason why I don't believe in that saying is because as a fan of wrestling, I don't want to see any more top quality talent, people who, you know, in my mind are kind of like the epitome of what wrestling is all about. They are standard bearers of what wrestling should be, in my mind. Those type of people, I don't want to see them go to WWE, because WWE is going to water them down, they're going to hold them back, and they're going to kind of, you know, derail them. They derail a lot of people in, you know, as far as I'm concerned. It's like, look at the NXT people who've been brought up. Right now, I would say Seth, Roman, and Dean, as well as Bray, they probably get the biggest bump. But when you look at those four, Roman's going to be, you know, fast-tracked to the title. We know that. You know, that's Vince's darling right there. Seth, he's knocking on the door. He's, you know, he definitely has something that Vince wants or the company wants. So he will eventually get there. They kind of have him in a little holding pattern right now, but I think he'll get there sooner than later. And then you take Bray and Dean. Bray and Dean, they don't get the credit that they deserve. They're not put in the positions that they should be in. They're kind of like the cleanup guys, so to speak. It's like, you need to put on a great match or do something very, very entertaining, have a really good entertaining spot or promo. Those are the two guys that you go to, you know, wake the crowd back up and get the crowd invigorated. But as far as their importance to the universe, being top guys, they're sadly, they're both on the outside looking in, which is a shame. See, the thing is, WWE has become so formulaic, so predictable, and so non-wrestling orientated that bringing people like the Briscoes, like, if you don't know who the Briscoe brothers are, please Google them. Please look on YouTube. Jay Briscoe, my God, on the mic, I put it to you this way, outside of anyone named Paul Heyman, he might be the best person I've seen on the mic in God knows how long. And that's saying something, because I love fucking Bray Wyatt. I think Bray Wyatt is phenomenal. I think Dean is awesome on the mic. You know what I mean? There are a couple of good mic talkers. You know, CM Punk, they thought it was tremendous. CM Punk was just like godly for a wrestler. But Jay Briscoe is up there, if not above them. This dude, I mean, and the thing that works with his is that it's kind of, because he's in ROH, they're allowed to go more and to feed off of their emotions more, like wrestlers used to do. They're allowed to do things off the cuff. They're allowed to freestyle a lot more. There's no little, if no scripting. You know, and he wears his, you know, emotions on the sleeve. So when he's talking, it's like, yo, you listen to somebody giving you real talk right here. And you see the passion. He's very clever with some of the things. It's funny, I was just watching a promo he cut before he challenged Michael Elgin, I think last year. And I love the whole premise about, like, you're talking about you're the unbreakable. See, I hear what you're selling. I'm just not buying what you're selling. You can, you know, your sell pitch is really nice. And it's like, that's clever. He's just breaking this dude's, like, you know, whole promo, his whole, the way he views himself, as if it's just a, like, mediocre, like, sales pitch to try to fool somebody. And he's just like, nah, I'm not fooled by that. look up Jay Briscoe, and his brother can talk. His brother's not as good as a talker. His brother's better when they are together, but even still, his brother's probably better than a lot of people that I've seen in the WWE, because the WWE, they kind of just keep people in the same basic set, the same basic style, and then it's only but a handful of people who are going to get airtime. Again, we've seen many people come up from the NXT and their careers gone nowhere. People like Xavier Wood, the Ascension, they tried to give them a little pop, and now they pretty much buried them with the loss to the primetime players. Now nobody's going to take these guys serious because you were supposedly building them up as monsters, and then all of a sudden, Mr. No Days Off, I can't think of his name, all of a sudden he comes back and gets back with Titus O'Neil, and they win a match against them, and it's like, okay, well, bye to the Ascension. That whole building them up thing was just thrown out the window. Bo Dallas was brought up, made a clown. Now he's nowhere to be seen. Xavier Woods never has really gotten any traction at all. They've yet to find something for him that works. And because they've cut his moveset down, because that dude used to be kind of a risk taker back in the TNA days and the independent days. Now, of course, being in WWE, you kind of can't do certain moves. You kind of got to be a little more careful, blah, 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 blah. So he's been, Consequence Creed is a shell of himself at this point. Big E, he's a big clown in the blue suit dancing and shit. So many names I can go on and on that come from NXT, which puts on quality matches, does wrestling the way wrestling should be. But when they get to WWE, everybody is just buried under the fact that WWE has their set amount of pieces on the board that they can only use. They don't utilize the time of their shows well, because in a 3-hour Monday Night Raw, if you get 5 matches or more, then you've just got a huge surprise. And even if you do get those 5 matches or more, all the matches, like I remember once we saw we did a review about a Raw that had like 9 matches. I want to say like those 9 matches may have accumulated to an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes of a 3-hour show. The rest was just the skits, talking, promos, and things like that. They just they're all about, again, the entertainment part. So they're doing all the promos and the like celebrity appearances and things like that. We're gonna have Snoop Dogg come in before WrestleMania and all of this. It's like, okay, yeah, okay. What? WWE is selling their product more to the general public who doesn't necessarily care for wrestling, but like to see a interesting show put on. Whereas these other wrestling companies, they're all about the wrestling and putting on the show for wrestling fans, people who like wrestling. So when you bring these guys like the Briscoes, like an Adam Cole, maybe Michael Elgin, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, Eric Young, who else is out there? Jay Lethos. All these guys who know how to cut promos in a wrestling manner and are celebrated for their wrestling skills to WWE, they just get lost in the wind. They just blow around. They flounder. So that's why I don't like hearing the whole this person needs to be. I mean, and it's funny because I recall myself saying it a lot recently in some of the podcasts. I kind of feel bad that I've done that, because right now, being a WWE superstar, if you're not one of Vince's boys, or you're not one of the old time people who he still has a lot of respect for, like a Randy Orton or a Big Show or a Kane, you're pretty much going to bounce around, flounder, may not gain traction. It's such a 1 in a million shot now to gain traction as a WWE newcomer, and I don't want to see that happen to some great talent. There's too many great talents have had that happen to them in the WWE, so that's why I'm just not a fan of the whole idea of who deserves to be in WWE or if they should be, because it's kind of giving them or their careers a death sentence. You know, their careers are kind of being put on hiatus and put in stasis until they go somewhere else that appreciates them for what they are, which is wrestlers. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. Sorry for the long rant. Anyway, as always, you guys hit me up. Let me know what you think, and I'll holler at you later. It's your boy Black Makers, and I'm out. Deuces.